What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. This is Native Nomads, and today we are going to be talking about why I traded my 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness and picked up the 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness, and the things that you need to know about the 2024 as it compares to the 2022. So before we get started today, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video and every video you will see here on the channel, and that is Adventure Rig Shop. AdventureRigShop.com is where you can get just about every single thing you need for your Subaru Outback Wilderness. Use the code NOMAD at checkout to save yourself 5%. I put the link in the description to make it easy for you to navigate and check out all the items that you may not know you need yet. So let's talk about why I got the 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know one thing. I change my mind often, a lot, probably too much. But what you need to understand for the people that are just here for this video and the people that have been here for a long time, my brain is like fireworks. It's just, and then the grand finale takes off, and then it's just chaos inside my mind all the time, and I don't really know what I'm going to do from 1 minute to the next. I'm like a rabbit that's just chasing itself around, or a cat chasing its tail, I think is a better expression. And that's how I kind of live my life. I am from one thing to the next, from this car to that project, this project, and that's just who I am. So saying that I was going to keep my 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness, in the moment, I meant that. I wasn't lying. I genuinely meant that I'm not going to go get the 2024. Well, there are a few reasons that I want to talk about of why I did decide to get the 2024. So first reason being is I'm a little nervous. And if you've seen the new Subaru Forester, it may make you nervous or you may love it. Now, I understand the Forester is totally different looking than the Subaru Outback, but the Forester has an eerie resemblance to a Ford Explorer. So if you haven't seen the new Forester, you need to look at it because it is not the prettiest looking thing I've ever seen. I just don't like it personally. So when I saw the new Forester, I said, I really hope Subaru is not going to change and do this like bubbly, I don't even know how to explain it. You have to look at it, and maybe you think the new Forester looks fantastic, and this is totally a personal preference. But when I saw that, I immediately became startled because I started to think, what if they change the 2025 Outback Wilderness and it resembles the Forester in the shape and the lines and the curvature? I'm not going to be happy with that. I know I'm not going to be happy with that. And then a couple of other things happened. I called the dealer. I just called him. I just texted him. I texted the dealer. And I said, hey, do you have any? What's the price? Well, they ended up dropping the price pretty significantly off the new Wilderness, and they gave me way more than what I deserved for my Subaru. So it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And plus the interest rate through the Subaru year-end savings event was like incredibly good. I got an incredibly good interest rate. So everything kind of aligned, and they were like, hey, we have this white one. And I was like, I don't want to go white again. And I know you guys are probably like, what? That's different. Every car on this channel has been white. I've always said I will always have a white vehicle. And I do have a couple white vehicles, but the Subaru Outback Wilderness is black. I wanted to do something different. I needed to shake things up a little bit. I just needed to shake them up. I needed things to be a little bit different. It's really dark. It's really gray here. It's cold in Ohio. I'm starting to lose my mind, and that may have played a little part of it too. So what you're getting right now is the stream of consciousness that runs through my brain constantly. It's like a rat in a wheel, and it never stops going. So much so that I am now carrying around with me, and I'm like taking my life kind of analog. Like, I love shooting digital photography, but I have, my wife got me this new film camera for our anniversary, and like the analog and the buttons and the clicks, and I just love it. So then analog, I started carrying this around with me every single place I go. Field notes, and I got this really awesome pen. Right in the Rain is who makes this pen, and it's this little pen. Probably can't see it that well. You can write upside down with it. Not that I would write upside down, but anyways, the point is, this is where I'm at. So I'm trying to keep notes of everything that's going on here so I can put it here so that I can give it to you in an organized manner. Now, that kind of got off track, but that's the things that you need to know about me, and that's why I kind of jump from thing to thing, and I go 155 miles an hour in any direction. That's just the way I'm wired. I like it. My wife has trouble keeping up sometimes, but she is a freaking trooper. So here we are with a black 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness that I said I would never get. All right, so there are some things, there's quite a few things that I want to talk about today. And if you are looking at a 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness, and maybe you have a 2022, or maybe you're thinking about buying a used Outback Wilderness that's a 22, and you know the 2024 is out, and the question that I have gotten several times is, what is the difference, right? What is it worth the upgrade? The answer is absolutely yes, and I'm going to get into that at the end of this video, but right now I'm going to just go over the simple things that everyone knows that's different, that if you've never driven a 2024, this is probably going to be helpful for you. But if you are in a 2022 and you're looking for a 2024, the stuff at the end of the video is what really matters, because it is the difference maker. And when I got in the car, I was kind of blown away. I didn't expect to be, because at the end of the day, it's an Outback Wilderness and I just had one, but we'll get into that in a minute. So the simple stuff that everyone knows, the grill, the front grill is slightly different. Not much. It is slightly different. It has a little bit more of an aggressive look. The departure angle is the same. The breakover angle is the same. The approach angle is the same. All of that is the exact same. You still have, I believe it's 10.9, 10.1, I forget, the actual ground clearance that comes from the factory. It's the same in the 22 versus the 2024. But the Harman Kardon stereo. Now, I was not really that enthused about that. I thought it would be cool. It would be great to have a better sounding stereo. I'm more of like a podcast and learn stuff while I drive, as opposed to like a music guy when I drive. I just need to hear the words that are being said and then try to comprehend them. But that's really what I use if I'm going on a long trip anyways. That's what I'm using the stereo for. But I got in it, and you get Sirius XM for a period of 3 months inside the vehicle when you buy a new car. So I turned it to my favorite station. I was like, God, this sounds good. It sounds really, really good. Like, incredibly good for the car. Especially if you had a 2022, you know what I mean. The acoustics in the 2022 were absolutely terrible. The speakers were terrible. All of that was just bad. It wasn't good. It was bad, bad, bad. But what we have now is an incredible stereo system that sounds so good in the car, and it does make the driving experience better. That is one thing I noticed immediately. I was like, man, I was on the highway coming home, and I was just feeling it. I was feeling myself on the way home. But those are like the obvious things. Then the third most obvious thing is the heated steering wheel. So in one of the very first videos I made about the Subaru Outback Wilderness, it was simply that the fact that they don't have a heated steering wheel in America, but they have it in Canada. Understandably, Canada has much colder winters, but the point being is, if you have the ability to put the heated steering wheel in the vehicle, just put it in the car, or maybe make it an option. I don't know what the deal was. Well, I do know what the deal was. It was great business. It was great marketing, because they gave us this and then they rolled this out, which is to us 2022 and 2023 owners. The 2024 having the new stereo system, the heated steering wheel, the new front grille, all of that was enough, honestly, to make a lot of people purchase. That wasn't the sole reason I did it, but I am very happy I did it, and those things have been fantastic. All right, so let's talk about why the 2024 is better than the 2022. Outside of the obvious reasons that I just listed, the main differences do make it better in my opinion, but is it still worth an upgrade? If you are watching this video, then you're either in a 22, you're considering a 24, or you have never been in a 22 and you just got a 24, or you're getting a 24. So all the people that have only driven or owned the 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness, you, my friends, have been very smart in your purchases, because yes, this vehicle, the 2024, is better, but you would never notice these things if you didn't have a 2022. For example, the screen, the button layout on the screen. Don't get me wrong, the screen is still laggy. It is not great whatsoever. It does not function as well as what we're used to. The problem is we're used to using iPads. Well, I'm used to using an iPad. My iPad is lightning fast. It's super easy to touch. It's super easy to navigate. It's super easy to use. And then you touch something that looks very similar to the thing that I touch and play with all the time, and it is not very fast. It does not have smooth transitions. It does lag slightly, but that's besides the point. The button layout on the new 2024 is so much better. You don't have to click into all these different buttons to get to like the heated seats, to get to the air conditioning controls. There's a lot of things on the bottom of the screen, and you can customize the bottom of the screen that make it much easier. And I could be wrong about this, but I do believe the screen is slightly larger, or at least it feels slightly larger. Keep in mind, I dropped off my 2022 and I picked up the 2024. So immediately when I got into it, there were all of these things that I was noticing. And that screen, having a better functioning screen, is paramount, because granted, I would still like buttons. I wish a lot of things were buttons and not done through a screen. That's just the way things are going. That's why I got the Lexus GX 460, because it's tactile, it's all buttons, it's mechanical, and it takes me back to this stage of my life that I'm in, where I want things to click and move, and I got to push stuff. I don't want to use all the screens. But the screen in the 2024 is way better than the screen in the 2022. Another subtle difference that you would never ever notice if you had never owned or driven the 2022 is the steering wheel. The steering wheel has like a textured coating on it. And I don't know if mine in the 22 had it as well, but I noticed a difference in the steering wheel the second I got in the car. It just felt different. It felt different in my hand. It felt better in my hand. It was just a better feeling. I really don't know how to explain it. Now, I'm assuming that may be because there is the heated steering wheel option now. So maybe the steering wheels they were forced to make the steering wheels slightly different, because now that they are heated, and I'm assuming I haven't turned it on yet. I probably will today because it's freezing, but it's just a better feeling inside your hand. And I noticed that immediately. Again, if you've only had a 24, you would never notice how big of a difference that steering wheel made. Another thing, this is probably going to sound silly, but I'm huge on detail. I'm huge on like lines and curvature and how everything works. The shifter in the 2022 is completely different than the shifter in the 2024. The shifter in the 2024 seems a little bit larger. It has like smoother lines and better, it's just more ergonomical. I don't know if I've said that word once, but I could probably say that word 1,000 times in this video. So I apologize if I overuse that word, but it just fits better in my hand. It looks cleaner. When I was taking pictures of it, the first pictures I posted on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can at nativenomads.us. I noticed it right away, and I put it in my hand. I was like, man, I was taking pictures of it, and it was just like, it just looked good. I just really liked the way it looked. That may be something silly. That may be something you could care less about, but if you never drove a 22, it won't even matter. But if you have a 22, I'm telling you, the second you sit in the 2024, you're going to notice things that are drastically different. And they may be small and subtle to most, but to us 22 owners, it made all the difference. And I just felt so much better driving the car. So this last one could have been a fluke. I don't know. Could have been a fluke. I'm hoping it's not a fluke. But when I started the car again, it wasn't still off. The auto stop and start feature. Every single time you get in your car, if you don't want the auto start and stop off, you have to turn it off. You have to press that button. I know that seems silly. It's like, you're probably like, well, you're whining. That's fine. You can think that I'm whining. The point is, every time I got in the car, I turned the auto start and stop feature off. And there's a couple of reasons why. If you use the auto start and stop feature, over time, what I noticed while using it is when I let off the brake and I start to accelerate and the car turns itself back on, it's very clunky. It's like the motor like clicks really hard and then you start going. And I know that that's a good feature for like saving the environment. I get it. I understand what it's for. Or saving gas, whatever it's for. But it did not feel good in the vehicle. Like while it was happening, I was like, I just turned it off. Like that doesn't feel good to like let off your gas and then you're like your motor clicks, your transmission goes, and it wasn't for me. So what I did is I always turned it off. Every time I got in the car, I would press the button, I would turn it off. I know it's not a humongous deal, but the fact of the matter is, in the 2024, I don't know if I still have to do that or not, because I turned it off right when I got it from the dealership and I was driving home and it just stayed off. And then I got it the next day and I started the car and I was like, oh my gosh, it's because I went to go press the button and I didn't need to press the button. I was like, oh God, it's already off. And then I got in the car again, and it was still off. But then I got in the car yesterday after my wife and my daughter and I went to breakfast and I was like, wait a minute. I got to turn it off. So I don't know if it was a fluke or maybe it only stays off for so many restarts of the vehicle. I'm not sure. I have not figured it out yet. I've driven this car 77 miles, so it has not gotten a lot of use, but it was so great. Now, one thing that they have, and I think they had it in the 22, I never used it or never paid attention to it, is the auto vehicle hold. It says AVH in your menu system. And the problem is you have to turn it on and off every single time you get in the car. And it's when you press your brake at a stoplight, if you take your foot off the brake, like the car just stays. And then when you press the gas, it accelerates. It just holds the brakes for you. Not good for off-roading, for sure, but driving around the city, it's really nice. But then again, you have to turn it on and off every single time you get out of the car or you get back in the car. That is so silly. It makes absolutely no sense. If this is a feature that I want to use all the time, I just want it to work. I just want to press the button and it works and I'm done with it. So the auto start and stop feature, for those of you who have been plagued by that or bothered by that, I think it's fixed, or at least it's slightly fixed. I hope Subaru just makes it so you can turn it off and you don't have to keep turning it back on. But that is a really welcomed situation. Just the fact that I only have to turn it on maybe every 5 times I start the car. Okay, I'm going through my field notes. I just want to make sure that I got this. So I think I do. Let's talk about the ride, the suspension. And I know it's the same exact suspension. And you probably, if you have not lifted your 2022 or 2023 and you just ride on the factory suspension every single day, maybe you change the tires and the wheels, you got more of an aggressive look, but you did not touch the suspension. Well, I know I have said I wouldn't lift it. And then I said I would lift it. That's part of the fireworks thing that I was talking about. But it rides so good. Now, granted, my car, the 2022 that I had, if you guys have been around this channel, you know that car got put through it. I mean, I did not even try to take it easy on it. I beat that car up. I took it a lot of places. I went on a lot of trails I probably shouldn't have. And I have 50 videos and a playlist on the white Subaru Outback Wilderness. If you're curious of where I've been, what I've done, the things that I've conquered, or the places that I've traveled, it's all there for the most part. There are a lot of things you have not seen me do, but the ride in the 2024, now granted, I had the Spec C Ironman suspension on the rear of the Subaru Outback Wilderness. So that in itself was a little bit, I knew that made it a stiffer ride. But I put about 30 miles or 30,000 miles on my Ironman suspension. And it was it just took a beating, and it just the car didn't ride good anymore. Like, it was just clunky. It was harsh. I probably needed to put a new suspension on it. I really just took it to a lot of places. I did a lot of things. And after a while, that suspension does wear out, and you should probably consider changing it. But the ride on the factory 2024 is so smooth. Oh my gosh, it's so smooth. I cannot see myself lifting this car. I know I've said that, and then I lifted it, and then I said I would never do it, and then I did, and then I get it. But I'm just going to get wheels and tires for right now. I'm not going to worry about any type of suspension. At the end of the day, another huge reason and motivator for me to get another Outback Wilderness was because of storm chasing. Getting rid of the Outback Wilderness and buying like a 28 or 30-year-old or 40-year-old Land Cruiser, because that's what I want. I want an 80 series Land Cruiser. Is like, that's cool, but the fact is, there's a lot of things that I do. There's a lot of places that I go and do. Storm chasing requires a car that is well built, in good condition, and can get from point A to point B every time. Because if it doesn't get you from point A to point B one time, that one time could be life or death. I know that that sounds dramatic, or maybe it sounds extreme, but the point being is, if I get into a situation that I can't get myself out of, I'm in trouble. So this 2024 is not going to be lifted, but there is a whole list of modifications that I'm going to do to this, and I am going to film every single one of them, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process of how I'm building this Outback Wilderness differently than my 2022. Knowing the limitations, I know what it can do well, and I know what it can't do at all. There is no more guesswork there. But there are things that I can do that's going to make this vehicle perform better for the things that I intend to do with it. So I am going to just completely overhaul my thought process and the way I did things before, and I am going to rebuild this. There are going to be some repeat things that I do, but for those 2024 owners who maybe wanted to see a video or need to see a video that's specific to a 2024 build, that will happen here. So I'm super stoked, and I'm super amped on being able to redo this vehicle and kind of redo that whole build and work towards another vehicle that is, hopefully it takes me past the 40,000 mile mark. My other one only made it to 40,000, but if the 2025 does come out and it is really sweet and it doesn't look like the Forester, I'll probably get that and trade in the 24. I don't know. I'm really just talking, so don't take everything I say so literal, because remember, fireworks. I'll see you on the next one.